March is Women's History Month. We're about to wrap that up. And on today's show, all of our female guests earn marks for carving their own path and taking charge in the face of life's challenges. From tackling children's issues to tackling a life-altering disease, as philosopher Alice O'Connor said, with today's women, the question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me? Our first guest saw several needs for children and addressed them. Something really exciting is happening this afternoon that will greatly improve the lives of many Houston families. If you have a child who uses a wheelchair, then you know how difficult it can be to load it into a regular car. Sometimes it's just impossible, and that means that child's world is limited. The program provides modern-day chariots for children, helping them to go anywhere along with their family. That's just one of the hurdles Houston Children's Charity helps kids and their families to overcome. The founder, Laura Ward, joins us with more on the gift several families will receive this afternoon. Also joining us is Luisa Ramirez and her daughter Sabrina. Being here today is made possible through a life-changing wheelchair-accessible van through Houston Children's Charity. Good morning.
Thank you, Deborah.
All right, yes, applause for that, because there's a lot going on there. Anybody who knows Laura knows she gets a lot done. All right, I'm going to back up a little bit. You grew up in Crowley. You knew the value of caring for others and hard work. With several siblings, you cared for them as well.
I did. I was the second of 9. There weren't choices.
Second of 9?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. And so being a little bit older, being the second of 9, oftentimes that caretaking fell to you. When it came to fundraising, when did you first get involved in it?
My children's school, their private school, and my children are now in their 50s, and we had a $5 a plate spaghetti dinner. And I helped cook the spaghetti, but I also realized I liked asking for money.
Yeah.
Nobody likes asking for money, and
well,
I
you
loved
ask
asking
and you
for money.
ask and you shall receive. You worked 100+ charity auctions and events across Houston. That passion turned into a powerhouse. In 1996, you founded Houston Children's Charity. What moved you to do that?
There were a group of us who were with another organization, and we saw needs that weren't being met, and we decided rather than continue with the duplicity of helping children who were being helped by other organizations, that we would try to fill the voids in the system and do things nobody else was doing.
Yeah. So far, how much money raised to help do that?
$140 million in my career.
$140 million. Now, here's the crazy part. Every bit of that is always needed, isn't it?
Every bit of it and more.
Yeah.
It's never enough.
Yeah, all right. So Chariots for Children, that started when people started becoming aware, and you became aware of watching parents just try to get their child's wheelchair. And anybody who's dealt with one, I know sometimes with older adults as well. I know with my mom, I struggled to get a wheelchair in the car, and it's so tough. And so you saw that firsthand.
I saw it, and I was told about it by parents. Parents continually visited us, contacted us for assistance with their children, but we were giving out more passenger vans to agencies to transport children.
Yeah.
And then the light went off, and it was difficult at first to justify the cost of a van for one child, but it's not for one child. It impacts the whole family.
Yeah, it does. And of course, it seems like that's just such a big thing to tackle when you say, okay, let's raise enough money to give a family or a couple of families a van. So in the beginning, it was a couple of families, right?
2 families, and it was so big to us. And back then, Deborah, the vans cost $28,000 a piece, and we gave out 2 that year, and we were so pleased.
Yeah, but today?
Today we'll give out 98 at a cost of $55,000 each.
98 vans, all right. Luisa, this is so life-changing for you and your family. Your daughter Sabrina is here. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning, and thank you for having us. We are so happy and honored to be here.
Absolutely, and I was talking to her in the green room. I love your dress. Can I borrow that dress after you're done with it? She's like, no. it's your dress. All right. Tell us, okay, so you have other children as well. And so she has a twin sister, Brianna, an older brother, Thomas. When did you first realize that something was happening different with Sabrina? Was it at birth?
Yeah. Well, Sabrina and my other daughter, they were born premature. They were micropreemies.
Yeah.
So we found out when I was pregnant that something was wrong with one of them. So after they were born, Sabrina was diagnosed with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and all the challenges began, and the life changed completely for us as a family.
Yeah.
However, that in the same way united us, make us stronger, and make us realize that resilience was all that we needed to build day by day as the challenges in daily life continue to rise.
And it's one thing when they're babies, when they're babies, we carry them around, right? And then we have them in the strollers, and even strollers become a nuisance a lot of times for a lot of parents, right? But then as she began to grow and needed did you want to say something, hon? She's like, Mom, look this way, pay attention to me, right? No, but as she started to grow, the wheelchairs get bigger, it gets heavier. What was that like for you every day?
Well, in that moment, that life was very challenging. It was hard. I was lifting day in, day out, multiple times a day. And because my husband, which is my other help, he needed to work, and I was the only one with Sabrina. So I was straining all day long. My back was aching, my shoulders were aching, and I was thinking like, oh my God, I mean, this is gonna be a lifelong thing that I'm gonna do. Right. How I'm gonna be ending with back disease, with shoulders disease.
And Laura, you had met a woman who had had several hernia surgeries because of this.
She walked into my office and said she had 7 hernia surgeries.
Wow. And what do you do? Because Sabrina loves getting out. She loves time with her siblings. She loves In-N-Out burgers and ice cream, and who doesn't, right? She has a passion for music. She's a DJ at heart, and her favorite movies, Encanto and Frozen. So going out to the movies and going out to eat and doing all those things become difficult. So how did you come across this program?
Well, it was one of my business, Texas Children's. Texas Children's is our family hospital. And I kept talking with the social workers and asking them if they knew any resources, anything that was available out there, because I didn't know anything. For me, for my family, it was a brand new thing. Like dealing with disabilities is not something that you know what to do.
Right.
So you need the help of expert people who have been dealing with this all the time. So they told me about the Houston charity, and they said reach out to them, fill out the application, and they provide transportation for children with disabilities. But you just gotta get on the wait list and say, okay, well, I do that, and that's exactly what I did.
She's like, I see myself on TV. Right?
I fill out the application and I just waited patiently, and then suddenly last year I got surprised.
She's like, I will not be denied.
Yes. Then I got surprised last year when I received the call saying that Sabrina Howe was being granted a brand new van for her transportation, and
how's it changed your life?
My goodness, everything changed, everything. That was like going from night to day, because my life is so much easier right now for the entire family. We can all go around town and travel across everywhere with no difficulty, with no lifting, no stress. The logistics change it completely. We can,
because even things like going to a doctor's appointment, would be so difficult. But now she gets to go and enjoy life with the whole family, and that's what it's all about. And Laura, you mentioned earlier, you knew how to ask, and it wouldn't happen without great donors for sure.
And those donors, I know every city says they have the most philanthropic population, but it's hard to argue about Houston. We're it.
Okay, tell people.
The power of Houston.
The power of that last gala.
Of Houston.
You raised how much at the last gala?
$9.4 million.
$9.4 million. And the tough part about you is that you're not going to settle for anything less next year.
But I didn't do that. It takes a village, and our board of directors and the sponsors in this city, and then the people raising their hand to buy these vans.
And this is not the only thing you do. We're about to run out of time, but I just want to make sure I let people know that when you say Houston Children's Charities, a Better Night's Sleep program, you would go into homes where you saw kids sleeping on floors and sleeping in drawers. And so you thought, let's get mattresses into this home. For a child to have their own mattress is a place where they can dream, right?
That's exactly right.
Toys for even like when a stranger delivers a toy, it lets a child know that there's a community out there that wraps their arms around them. There's so many things that whenever you see a need, that you will go in and try to address that, and that's what happens when people give donations or support the gala.
Absolutely. And that's done in Houston more, I think, than anywhere in the nation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah.
For sharing your story with us.
Having us.
And it's not lost on us that if she had come here without having that wheelchair accessible van in the past, that would have been a tough thing to do in the morning. But now it's made so much easier. Sabrina, thank you for coming in this morning.
Say gracias.
I love it. Yeah, gracias. And I love that smile. All right. To learn more about Houston Children's Charity or to get involved and support their programs, visit HoustonChildren'sCharity.org. You can also find out the qualifications for the programs that we talked about. And of course, those wheelchair accessible vans will be delivered to the families today at what time and where?
1:30 at the Post Oak Hotel.
Yeah. All right. That's something great to see.